One of the reasons Max Verstappen ended up in Formula One is, as most of you know, because of his father, Jos Verstappen. Thanks to his father and also his mother, he learned a lot about racing. The Dutch Formula One driver once said that his father Jos was very hard on him in his early Formula One days. But why did he say that? Stay tuned to find out. But before we continue with the video, if you are new here, please press the bell button so you won't miss out on any Max Verstappen Formula One updates. Let's go! The Dutch racing driver Max Verstappen won the Formula One World Championship in 2021 at the Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi. With Red Bull Racing, he competes in Formula One under the Dutch flag. As a former Formula One driver's son, he is well versed in the sport. At the 2015 Australian Grand Prix, he became Formula One's youngest driver at the age of 17. Scuderia Toro Rosso was his first stop for the 2016 season. However, after just 4 races, Red Bull Racing acquired Verstappen as a replacement for Daniil Kvyat. He became the youngest driver in Formula One history and the first Dutch driver to win the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix on his Red Bull Racing debut at the age of 18. Besides that, Verstappen became the first Dutch driver to win the Formula One World Championship in 2021. During a very exciting duel against rival Lewis Hamilton at the circuit of Abu Dhabi, Verstappen managed to secure his first World Championship title in the last minutes of the race. This was an exciting and excellent season for the Dutchman. After the final race, we all saw the emotional reaction of his father. But what is the bond between them really like? Verstappen once said that his father was very hard on him. But did his father's tough approach in his younger years help him with his success? Thanks to his father Jos, Max ended up in the racing world at a young age. They have had a tense relationship for a long time, with Jos previously revealing that his son thought of him as a lunatic during races. Jos has been instrumental in guiding his son to the pinnacle of the sport. However, the two Dutchmen have admitted that their relationship has a fiery side. Jos recalled leaning over the pit wall to cheer on his son at a Formula 3 race in 2014. I even hung over the pit wall in Formula 3 to push him to go faster, Jos told his son's sponsor, CarNext. I must say, that was beneficial, but he thought I was insane. Fortunately, he doesn't require it at this time. It's in him, and he's letting it out now. He understands how to qualify himself. In Formula 1, he's come a long way. On the track, he is now the man to beat, as the Sun reported in an interview. Verstappen previously discussed his childhood relationship with his father, stating that he had a falling out with him in 2012. Jos's devotion to his kid has also produced problems for Verstappen during his Formula One career. Graham Watson, who now manages Red Bull's sister team, AlphaTauri, claimed that Jos was requested to take a break in 2016. Jos was, of course, used to having full control over Max's career from the karting days, he told motorsport.com. When Max first arrived to us, the team was less professional than it is now. Jos may have questioned whether our team was capable of assisting his kid in Formula One. I was particularly aware of this when Jos tapped my shoulder every day and asked, "Graham, what about this and what about that?" At one point, I had to exclaim that he just needed to let the team members do their job. It wasn't until Max arrived at Red Bull that they told Jos he needed to take a step back. I don't have any children of my own, but I guess it's difficult to let go of your son. So we get it. Jos had a pretty strict relationship with his son, Graham said. The often severe supervision of his father Jos is often credited with Verstappen's speedy development, but this tough attitude did not win everyone's approval. Max has been clear enough that his father has always been his inspiration, but his ways of teaching Max were a little unorthodox. Gerard Berger reflects on Verstappen's early years in an interview with Autobild. According to the former world champion, Jos Verstappen was cruelly harsh on Max. Even as a bystander, you were taken aback and thought to yourself, but that's not how it works. Berger now has to confess that Jos's strategy worked after all these years. According to the former Formula One driver, Max is a great racer and a fine human. After all, Daddy Jos' harsh school was the appropriate one, he says. The former Formula One driver stated that there are several examples of sons with former Formula One drivers as fathers who are unable to live up to expectations. He claims that there is a reason for this. I have to defend Mick and the others, such as Bruno Senna, because they have never had to fight before. In the end, they lack the killer instinct needed to rise to the top. Michael Schumacher obviously wanted his son to do the best. That is absolutely clear. Every parent wants that. However, it takes away your fighting spirit from the start. Another example is Piquet's children. They did not have to fight as hard as their father Nelson. Even Senna had to work his way up from scratch. Michael had to start at the bottom of the ladder. Sebastian Vettel also spent the night in a tent with his father at the kart races and worked on the karts himself. The next generation lacks the basics. Only with Max it really works. In the interview, Berger acknowledges that Jos's stern approach meant that Max was unconcerned with Red Bull's advisor, Marco's toughness. Berger explains that he worked with Marco at the start of his career. He made me wash the truck first, but it was for the best. Even an Enzo Ferrari, Frank Williams, or Ron Dennis couldn't hurt me now that I'd survived Helmut so brilliantly. People reacted the same way as others did, but most of them said that whatever Jos did was better for him in retrospect. Some internet users wrote, "There aren't many athletes that publicly show as much love and respect for their father as Max does. It reminds me of Tiger Woods' connection with his father. Both proved to be champions and above all, good people." So we can say Jos Verstappen poured his heart and soul into his son's career between that first karting appearance and Max's final World Championship victory. While Max was at school, he prepped his chassis and engines in his workshop during the day, and they would test 2 or 3 times a week. They'd travel over 100,000 kilometers every year across the Netherlands, Belgium, and beyond in a van. We knew which engine was the best and which carburetors were richer, so everything was taken care of, Jos says. This went beyond Jos's insistence that his son comprehends the technical side of things. The priority was driving. Jos was motivated to make Max a better driver than him after never quite reaching the heights he'd planned for in Formula 1. Jos has consistently praised his son for being the champion, and Max has always been humble enough to dedicate everything to his father. Every father is strict, but if you want to succeed in life, always look up to your father, for he is the one that has put together everything for you. "Without my father, I wouldn't be sitting here," Max said at a press conference following the thrilling race in Canada, which took place on Father's Day. "It's hard to put into words what he did for me," Max stated. "He basically spent 12 years of his life doing everything he could to get me to where I am now. It's pretty crazy when you look back on that now, but I'm very grateful for it." Verstappen emphasizes how much he accomplished with his father. Jos knew a lot of things, but he always let Max watch so he could understand what he was doing and why. "I never understood that, but now it actually makes sense to me. He doesn't have to tell me anymore, but I still prefer to tell him everything that happens during the weekend. Not only in terms of racing, but also in general. I think it's good to have such a relationship," Max added. Verstappen provided a nice Father's Day present with his victory, but he argues that Jos will not have sat in his seat so relaxed. "I hope he enjoyed it. I'm sure he was nervous. He always is. Fortunately, we held on, so I think that was a nice present," concludes the reigning world champion. What do you think about the relationship between Max and his father Jos? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any videos about Max Verstappen Formula 1. Thank you for watching.